Mary, you joined GM in 1980. The theme of this session is the digital road. Would that have meant anything to you back when you were inspecting fenders at Pontiac?
Well, I would say I actually was one of the first classes to type my thesis on a mainframe. So it was beginning from at that point in time. But it's been quite a journey when you think of all the technological advancement. And frankly, it's going to, I think, accelerate even more as we move forward.
We're going to be getting into what's happening at GM in EVs and autonomous driving. And I think it's a kind of useful to remember this has been a journey, hasn't it, of technological investment. But we have to start with the obvious story of the moment, with what tariffs mean for your industry and your company. Right now, the US automotive industry is facing a 25% tariff, plus obviously higher tariffs than that on anything you import from China, which is a considerable feature of the global supply chain. Can you bring us in on your conversations with the president, with the administration? I know you've had a direct line through this process. There were moments where it looked as though you and a couple of your peers had won a bit of progress and a bit of a reprieve for the industry on the initial imposition of tariffs. What's that conversation been like?
Well, I think first off, if you step back, the president and the administration want to have a strong manufacturing sector in this company, and I think they very much believe they want to have a strong U.S. auto industry. So from that perspective, we're very much aligned. I would say the conversations I've been having for the last several weeks have been very productive because I think understanding our business is capital intensive. It's multi-year cycles of how we invest. And then we have a very complex supply chain. And so I think there's been a lot of effort to really understand our industry and for us to understand what they're trying to achieve. During the last Trump administration, when USMCA was renegotiated, we're one of the, I'd say one of the fewer, one of several, but not all OEMs actually, or auto companies, I should say, not use the term OEMs, made sure we comply with USMCA. Right. And so I would also say from after COVID, after the semiconductor shortage, we've really worked on having a resilient supply chain, meaning that having a little less of the global complexity in our supply chain just because of the difficulties that we saw. So I think it's been good communication so they understand. And I think, going forward, our message is making sure they understand what the auto industry, how it operates, so we can be competitive and not be put at a disadvantage to our foreign competitors. So, and I believe that is the goal of the administration and the president.
If nothing were to change, what would the impact of the current tariffs be on GM?
Well, I have earnings next week, so we'll be able to hear more about that. We'll talk more about that then. But again, I do believe, based on the constructive conversations that we're having, that is not the intent.
You think there is some? Do you think the president's persuadable here that we'll see a pullback?
I don't think I would use the term persuadable. I think the president, again, going to the goals he stated all along of wanting to have a strong manufacturing base in this country and a strong auto industry, will make sure that the policies he puts in place are going to achieve that. So that's the way I look at it.
So let's dive into that. I mean, does seem to be an area of overlap. The administration has a clear desire to see more manufacturing jobs in the US. GM's invested more than $35 billion in US manufacturing, I believe, over the last decade or so. What perspective does that investment and your experience give you on where the US can still win in manufacturing?
Well, first of all, I definitely believe that the U.S. can still win. I think there's so much innovation that is happening in this country, and I think all of our global competitors are very capable. So I take everybody very, very seriously. And actually, we've invested in the last 5 years, we've invested $60 billion. And so very significant investments that we've made, and to give consumers choice between internal combustion engines and electric vehicles. And so we're well positioned from that perspective. But I think as we look at, though, and understand that investment, because it's very significant, we need to help people understand that certain things can't move quickly. Everything can be moved over time, but we also have to do it effectively, and we have to do it in a manner where we're still competitive globally, because this is a global industry.
Over time, is it your intention to bring more of your manufacturing to the US?
Well, one of the important things that we need in our industry is, first of all, I need clarity, and then I need consistency. Because again, as I said, if a new vehicle, a brand new vehicle comes out every 5 or 6 years, to make those investments and to be good stewards of our owners' capital, I need to understand what the policy is. And so we've already made some shifts of leveraging capacity that we already have, and looked at where components are supplied from. So we've been able to make, I'd say, important changes already. But any significant changes, we need that clarity to make sure we're making the right ones.
So we're in a period where I would suspect you're lacking that clarity. Right now, how are you managing the company? What's it changing about the decisions you have to make pending more clarity on what the tariff picture is going to be longer term?
Well, I think one of the things of leveraging this time is to really be challenging the whole organization to be efficient. And I think that's always a great message. So driving efficiency, getting rid of bureaucracy, making sure what we're spending money on is really going to lead to our longer term vision from a company perspective. And so that's where we're focused now, and on the fundamentals of our business, making sure we're safely building high quality vehicles that consumers want to buy. And right now, I think it's important when people, and we'll talk more about this next week, is our core business is very strong. We have a business where our vehicles are in strong demand. We're actually at the very low end of incentives compared to the rest of industry. And frankly, one of the measures that is used in the auto industry is what is your day supply. Our day supply is very low because consumers are really responding to our vehicles, right. Which gives me great pride because I'm very proud of our team that's delivered beautifully designed vehicles with the right technology, the right features, the right functionality.
So I spent a lot of time with your fellow CEOs. Some of them were just in China at the China Development Forum, and a handful of them came back and said, "Wow, we just saw these Chinese cars that BYD and Geely are making. They've come on a long way." Right now, when you put a GM car up against some of the best of your Chinese competition, how does it measure up?
Well, I regularly go to China, so I've seen the progress. And again, I think that they're a formidable competitor. I think we also have to understand that the industry is subsidized by the country. I think that's important to note. But when we look and look, component to component, technology to technology and segment, I would say we stack up quite well. And we've done that work and, looked with a very, detailed eye of understanding everything.
I mean, you talked about the sort of competitive landscape in the context of how the administration should be thinking about policy, about how Washington generally should be thinking about policy for the industry. Is China the particular focus of your competitive concern right now?
Well, again, as I said, I take every competitor seriously. I think you're foolish in any industry not to take everyone seriously. But I think really I believe the administration is looking to do is to create a level playing field.
Right.
And there are many countries where it's been very easy to export vehicles to the U.S. with a very low tariff rate, and there's many countries around the world that the tariffs are quite high, and frankly, the non-tariff trade barriers are even higher. So I generally believe in free trade, but I think you have to have a level playing field, and I think that's what the administration is looking to achieve.
So you talked earlier about the customer choice you're trying to enable by offering both EVs and internal combustion engines. Can you ride both horses well forever?
Well, I think over the longer period of time, electric vehicles are going to be the consumer's choice. I mean, if you've had an opportunity to drive an electric vehicle, never having to go to the gas station, the fact that you have instant torque, EVs, if you do what we did and create a dedicated EV platform, really opens up a new design language. And I think that's one of the reasons our EV portfolio is doing so well. So I think over time, but I think when there's a couple barriers right now. One is price, because we're still working on getting battery technology to lead to a more competitively priced vehicle when you compare it to an internal combustion engine. And then also charging. When you look at most people that own an EV right now, they also have I call it ICE, but an internal combustion engine vehicle in their garage. And so if they're day to day, the EV works well. If they're going to go on a long journey, they're not exactly sure, they take their internal combustion engine vehicle. for most people, they only own one vehicle. Or if they own two, they need that vehicle to support, the two people going to work, taking care of the family, taking care of all their other responsibilities. And that's where a robust charging network becomes important. So I believe that will get better quarter after quarter, year after year. That will give people that, I'll say, that confidence so they don't have charge anxiety when they go on a longer road trip.
Is enough being done on that infrastructure side at the moment?
I think we're making a lot of progress, but I think it's going to take some time and it's going to take investment. But we are part of an industry consortium. We work to have access to the Tesla charging network. We also are making investments ourselves with Pilot Flying J, which gets on the interstates, and so that's a very important investment for us because it's the highest rated charging experience right now. So I think it will come over time, and then people just have to be aware of it.
Right. So tell us about the kind of internal challenge of transforming GM for this the kind of EV era. You brought in some really interesting senior leaders in the team, from a head of software from Apple, a chief AI officer from Cisco, new battery lead from Tesla. How's this technology challenge changed how you think about the skills you need in your top team?
Well, I think one of the things I've learned being in this position for over 10 years now is, you have to have the best talent. And in our industry that is so competitive and moving so quickly, and the fact that it's a bit of a longer cycle, you can't afford to get it wrong in your first cycle. And so that's why I've really been focused with my senior team of having the right people who have the experience and the knowledge. And I've seen it pay off with the people that you just mentioned, whether it's the battery lead that we brought in, Kurt Kelty, or Mike Abbott and the team he's brought in. We have running our software and autonomy is all, people that have that experience. And what's really cool about it, though, is as they've come in, the people who have been at GM who know how to do great vehicles with great dynamics and great performance, they've learned a lot from the people who have joined. But the people who have joined have learned a lot of, what it takes to do a great vehicle. So I feel really good about how the team is working together. And they just want to win. And so many people who have joined the company, they believe in our mission of what we're doing to create a world with zero crashes, zero emissions, and zero congestion. But we're always going to be guided by the consumer because, for most people, buying a vehicle is a very, very significant purchase for them. It's either the most important or the second most important after a house. So recognizing and really focusing on that customer and giving that customer choice, I think, is what will lead to our success. So that's why I'm so proud of where the team is and where we're headed.
So my Semafor colleague, Reed Albergotti, took a 12-hour journey in a Cadillac Escalade not long ago and concluded that autonomous driving technology has crossed a threshold and there's no going back. What is your strategy here, and what do you think it's going to take to get autonomous technology into much wider use?
Well, first of all, we're gated by safety. And so we're going to make sure, I'm very proud of the fact that our Super Cruise technology that he experienced and if you haven't experienced, I encourage you to go to a dealer and take a test drive. But you can take your hands off the wheel, feet off the pedals. You still need to pay attention because it is a driver assistance technology. It's not complete autonomous. But you'll arrive at your destination much more relaxed. Again, I've been in the business for a long time, and this technology is 85% of the people who have experienced say they would either not buy a car that didn't have it or would strongly prefer it in their next vehicle. And external groups, I think most recently Motor Trend, said we have the best technology. Now with the team, that software team that we have working with the vehicle team, they're now working on how do we take what's called level 2 autonomy to level 3. And then level 4 is when you get that the vehicle is responsible and the individual is really no longer required to pay attention all the time. And so we're on that journey. We'll share more about that as we go through the year. We made the decision last year with Cruise that was focused on robotaxi and personal autonomous vehicles, that our business was really personal autonomy. And so we've successfully integrated an incredibly talented group of people working now on personal autonomy. So I'm very optimistic, but we will always be gated by safety.
All right. Mary, thank you very much. Great to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you.